Hello, and welcome to another Gwent City video. Today, we have an almost champion. An almost the champion of the people in Gwent City.
Ouch.
HG3. How you doing, dude?
Hit me right where it hurts. HG3 reporting in. Hello?
HG
Hello?
third. Allow me to congratulate you on doing so well on the Gwentlesmen tournament. Let me tell you something, you surpassed everybody's expectations.
Oh, thank you. I didn't actually see you in that tournament.
No, no,
Are
no.
you, you skipping that one?
I was, I had a cold. No, no, no. I just, I didn't make top 16, dude. I didn't make it there. You did fantastic and everything. You're here to talk about your experience on the tournament. How was it? Anything that struck you or surprised you in particular?
Yeah, I mean, well, there are a couple of things. There's like gameplay related and like tournament related things. So what do you want to start with?
Actually, you know what? You are the one that made it the farthest, so you get to pick.
Okay, so from like a gameplay perspective, the prominence of dwarfs on the first day, which was the open day, I think they ended up getting like 88 competitors or something. Close to 100. I would round up. And dwarves were very prominent. And we had some numbers tracking. I think we ran into like 12 Scoia'tael players, and they were mostly dwarf archetypes, which is kind of like Swim's deck, and it's really strong and it executes reliably. And then going into Sunday, only 2 players brought it. So it was kind of like something that throws you off a little bit because the format changes from Saturday to Sunday. Saturday, you have to play 2 games against every opponent you run into, both times different factions, but you could play as many decks as you want to throughout the course of the tournament. I think I played 4 or 5 different decks on Saturday just to mix it up and stuff. And then on Sunday, you have to play 1 deck with a sideboard, and you have to like always reset to the 1 deck for your first match, and then you get sideboard in after the first match. So we kind of got like a misread on dwarfs going into Sunday, which if you look at my list is why Ard is included. Ard is like super good against dwarves and okay against Nilfgaard, and those are the 2 factions that I expected to see the most. Ironically, Nilfgaard was well represented in the top 16 and then not represented at all in the top 4.
What do you think that was?
I think it's because the decks that made it to top 4 were just like strong against Nilfgaard, except for maybe the Northern Realms I ran into. Like Meisling was my opponent in the round of 8, which probably, no offense to other competitors, was like the matchup I wanted the least.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about winning your group pretty soundly. I went 5-1 in my group, and then my reward is to play Meisling, who is 2nd seed in Group B. It's like, this could have turned out a little better. And he really gave me a run for my money. He got some bad RNG. Everyone that watched the tournament saw my bad RNG in the 3rd place matches, but he got some bad RNG. I think he drew Roach, mulliganed him, and then drew him again, and then something else happened in our 4th game. We went to 4 because he won the first match, like smashed me. The hardest I've ever lost to Nilfgaard with Weathermons is bad, because he got everything in speed. And I have videos of this. I might upload them with some commentary. Then we drew the 2nd match. So close. I thought, I came into Discord, told you guys, okay, that's it. I'm like top 8, whatever.
You were depressed, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, this is it. Like, we'll just live with this. And then I eked it out in the next 2 rounds. So that was like super hard. Like that was like the finals for me. So I lose some momentum in the NR matchup after that, which is a horrible matchup for Weathermons. But yeah, so I think like in terms of like meta snapshot, like some of the counter decks they're not far off from being meta. In fact, they're probably like included in the bubble of what a meta is considered. It's just that the way the meta's been cycling itself, and like the prominence of dwarfs gave extra strength to running Nilfgaard, and sometimes vice versa. And everyone just kind of looked away from Weathermons, especially because of the hotfix patch, which took away a lot of strength from double weathers. But they still have some of the best golds in the game in Woodland Spirit and Corinthier, and then being able to tech in Caretaker and Avalok. It's just a really solid set, and I think you saw that in the finals too. Like it wasn't a Weathermon, it was some kind of hybrid that Vishra ran, and he ran it very well. And I think monsters have a place here, And they certainly, when people are preparing for the pool, they were not preparing for monsters. They were very poorly represented on the first day of play, so people just moved away from them.
Huge shoutouts to Misling. Misling, you're a fantastic player. You scared the crap out of HG3, and you did very well, bro. Also, huge shoutouts to Swim for that Dwarf deck. Who could bring the Dwarf deck? Hey, I brought that Dwarf deck.
You brought it.
I brought the Dwarf deck. Probably that's the graphic that you're watching right now. Some of the games that I had. Let's talk about yourself right now. How did you train for this tournament?
Like I said, on Saturday, like you're allowed to play as many decks as you wanted. So it's kind of like taking in data and processing information on the fly, seeing what your opponents are playing, the frequency of decks. Like that's kind of how open formats work. Like you just need to be able to be flexible. I had 4 or 5 decks ready. 3 of them were collabs with the Gwent City boys. So big shout outs to Ancient Silence, Went to Town, and especially Tragic Star, who's like the monsters guru right now. He is pretty much single-handedly responsible for the Weathermon's list and some really, really good teching. And when he explains it all, it comes very clear like why the Swallow Potions are important and why we can value them highly instead of playing some bronze units in their spot. Especially their effect in like the mirror, which would have been devastating for Weathermons. The mirror is so bad. So I think in terms of preparation, we had a lot going on. A lot of people were working on a variety of decks. We had got some good testing in. I played some games against you that were probably the least worthwhile practice games I've ever participated in.
I don't know what you're talking about. Those were the best.
I've gotten memed so hard in training. And I was ready to dish out the memeing in tournament.
Probably that you needed that for the extra oomph, dude. I'm telling you.
Also, pregame ritual, warm up by losing some maps in Overwatch. That's apparently how you get ready to play Gwent really well.
As far as I know,
2 out of 3 players through to top 16.
Yeah.
So it must be successful, right?
Yeah, I know. Like Swim trains the same way. Before a tournament, he plays some Overwatch, and dude, it seems to be working. The tournament is a lot of pressure. Sometimes misplays happen. Surely you didn't happen to experience any kind of misplays, did you?
I had a misplay against... I don't even think it was a misplay, because technically, like, Yankon is so good. Maybe my misplay was not teching better. It's hard to pull the trigger on switching your leader. I brought Aridin on my sideboard. Aridin is kind of good against Yennefer Conjurer because he just like gives you a buffer that does not exist among your base set of units, and also he's a good carryover. So like usually he gets hit by a bolt, but since I have so many bolt targets in the Ancient Foglets, it seems like maybe he'd avoid it and he'd just take 3 turns of relief off of Yankon ticking me down. But I think my biggest misplays are probably tech choices. There's a couple of like misplays along the way. If you watched the second match from the 3rd place tournament, I got such a bad mulligan that I did not care about that game at all. I didn't snap concede it because it was going to be broadcasted, and I didn't want that awkward moment where they're like watching the VOD and it's like, why is this VOD of game 2 4 seconds long? And like I didn't want to do that, so I played it out and I ended up winning, which is like super odd. But that's a weird matchup too. Face down Scoia'tael versus Weathermons is a weird one because it's like one of the few matchups where the value golds for Weathermons just exceed value golds for Scoia'tael. And like Woodland Spirit is just a broken card. Not broken, but like a really strong card. He's been really strong for a long time. I'm using broken as like an adjective there. I don't think he's like too strong necessarily because like some of his strength is derived from playing Foglets, which are not always good plays. But in Weathermons especially, he's just got a really nice role. Yeah, and I think he could probably fit in some other lists.
Yeah, the synergy is good, the strength is not overwhelming. It's in a good spot. It just works very well. During the entire tournament, what was your favorite match and why?
My favorite match? I mean, the most like lull match was I was 5-0 in groups, and I went into my last match in groups against I can't remember who it was, but it was a Skellige player, And I was playing round 1 against Skelly. You usually play big round 1s because you don't want to give them an opportunity to like free play their disloyal units. So like if they have to dump it round 1, they're playing them for no card advantage, which is sick if you pass on it. So I was playing a big round 1. I didn't have any Crones in hand, so I was a little worried. Crones are pretty important, and playing them later in the game, especially against Skellige, where there are opportunities to maybe use Rain sometimes, is awkward. So I played Avalok in that round 1, and I thought Avalok would surely give me 1 Crone, maybe 2. He didn't. I go to round 2, I don't draw either Crone. Going into round 3, there's 4 cards in my deck, 3 of which are Crones. And I drew the other card. And I lost the game because of it. And if I didn't have the group locked up at that point, I would have tilted my way out of existence, because that RNG is even probably worse than the one I experienced in the 3rd place match, because like I drew 5 cards out of a smaller pool of cards consistently, because I have all these muster cards. I have First Lights pulling out my other bronzes, and the fact that I don't hit 1 Crone the whole game, that's something. But in terms of like quality matchup, my series against Mysling was very challenging, and it felt like there were a lot of good Nilfgaard players in the tournament, but there was one great Nilfgaard player. It felt significantly harder than many of my matches, and that's not to belittle. There's a lot of good Nilfgaard matchups, but maybe it's just because he had me on the ropes after game 1. Maybe it's his confidence and execution, but I got to give him props. He played really well, and that series could have easily went the other way.
Super strong player, really knowledgeable about the game. And well, look, dude, all I want to say from the bottom of my heart is congratulations. And
are you gonna
are
you gonna play the congratulations song now? Post Malone? You hate that song.
Okay, fine. Hang on, let me. This is gonna take a lot of courage from me. I hope people appreciate this. Hang on. I got it. It's coming out. Congratulations, HG3. Dude, congratulations, man. You did fantastic, and I'm happy that you made it that far. So, HG3, will we see you more often on competitive play?
Unfortunately. It's too stressful. Like, winning is so bad. The days are so long. Like, how much I spent, we started at 10 Eastern, and I was playing till like 4 on Saturday, so 6 straight hours of playing, and then I did it again the next day. It's like, oh my god, it's like such a grind, really. And then like the layoffs in between for like waiting between matches and whatnot, you can't actually do anything else meaningful. So yes, I'll be participating more often, but I'll probably be more prone to complaining and skipping some days of streaming to make up for it.
What's your stream? Where can people find you?
You could find me on twitch.tv H_G3, 3 as in the place I came in the Gwentlesmen's Open.
HG3, HG3. Alright, well, once again, dude, congratulations, and I'll see you guys next time.